Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sober Sit Down. I'm your host, Scotty Stuch. Tonight, we're going to break in the new year. Just previously released some previous recorded episodes that I had over the fall and winter. Took a little break around the holidays. I had some stuff laying around that we just released. I just released my Gene Barillo interview, which was previously recorded in right around, I'd say, beginning of December. And then I had my Johnny A Live video that got pulled off of YouTube because of CDC and COVID restrictions, and they said we said some things that probably didn't fit YouTube guidelines, so we just had to make some modifications. I just re-edited that, just re-released that. So this is gonna be like my first content that I'm releasing after the new year. So I thought the best way to do it is bring on a friend of mine, Adrian from Invest in Yourself. Me and Adrian are just gonna chop it up. We're gonna talk about some stuff that we got in the works right now. New year, new things coming out. I'm working on some re-platforming with the Sober Sit Down, and Adrian's got some exciting news we're all going to talk about, and we're going to lead up to it. And Adrian, what have you been up to, man? Anything?
Yeah, man. I've been working, been really busy. I thank you for having me come on your show, man. I really enjoy it, and I really enjoy everything that you're putting out, man. And I know you got a lot of good more stuff coming, man. So just keep pushing. I just want to say that. But
Yeah.
for me, what I've been working on is, since summertime of last year, I put together a documentary that I've been working on. About the American Mafia, but now I'm in the promoting stages of it. I don't know how you want to structure this interview and how you want to go in about when we talk about that. But yeah, I've been really putting work into that and my podcast as well. Invest in yourself. I got a lot of recent mafia interviews and stuff on there. A lot of guys from the life. Did all kinds of different segments as well with some of these guys. Old school mafia versus new school. Had brought on an old school mafia guy and a new school guy, and then you know informant versus non-informant. That was another good one that did pretty well recently. So yeah, just been working, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, it sounds like you're busy. I mean, that's one thing I could say. You know, um, we're gonna come back to the whole document thing because that the docu series is definitely the core foundation. I mean, we talked about that before we got on tonight and stuff like that, and that's something I'm really proud of you for doing because you know what, like what I like about you and me and like Hollywood Wade, we all chop it up. I mean, you guys were like the first guys to kind of like reach out to me and extend your hands out. You guys were in a building phase. You're obviously a lot more advanced now than when 5 months ago when I first started. But you guys just reached out. You weren't like, oh, who's this new guy or anything like that. You guys, hey, you need anything, let us know and stuff like that. And really outgoing. And I had some other people in my past that were like that, but you guys seems to be the most genuine. Not in it for anything other than trying to help people, and that's kind of like what I'm doing too. I really admire you and Wade also because like myself, it's straight grind mode from the time that foot hits the floor in the morning when we get out of bed and our alarm goes off. Each one of us, we all have family lives, we all have kids, and we have full-time jobs. We do this podcasting. I like going to the gym as my hobby as well. I had a couple career switches in the past 5 months since I started this podcasting. When I started in July, and like when I was platforming the pre-release, because I can say like right around April or May is like when I dropped my pilot when I was moving forward with the Sober Sit Down, and then it kind of just took flight with my first interview with Larry Maz in July. I was a truck driver then, and now I'm a car salesman, and I'm doing actually quite good with it. Not to like boost myself or anything like that, but I think I finally found my true passion, what I like doing outside of my original career of choice, which I thought was taking over into the family business and being in the bar restaurant industry. But it took me like 5 years to rebuild myself and get to where I'm at today. And like I said, like yourself, you and Wade, we all just grind, man. From the time we get up till the time we go to sleep, we're all grinding.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. You're right, and that's one thing you can say is consistent in your life. Like you said, you've had all these career changes and all this shit, but the podcasting has always been there. Content creating and all that. So that's Shit, man, I've been there too. Over these last few years of doing that. Career changes and graduating college and shit like that. But I've always known that I wanted to do this as well, and do more bigger projects as well. Because like I did, I did that whole documentary series. That was a big deal, man. That took a lot more time than I thought it was, but I'm glad I did it. I wanted to say that I did it, and I got it done, but now I just got to promote it and put it out there. So, I know what you mean when you say that all these, we grind, we do all that shit, but this has always been consistent for us.
Yeah, and I mean, like with your documentary series, like people like anybody that's out there podcasting. I mean, when I give advice to somebody, I always tell people, and some people will take like when you tell somebody advice, they take it as you're coming down at them, and I always tell people like just because I say something, and that's the way I view it, doesn't mean it's right or it's wrong. It's just the way I view it. So it's however you digest it. Like if I see somebody like a friend of mine, or if I see somebody that I know and I can throw a little advice out their way, they can either take it as constructive criticism or they can throw it in the garbage. It doesn't matter to me at the end of the day. It's just the way I view it. I don't consider everything I do right. So, like some people get offensive and stuff like that. And I don't know. I think corrective criticism really make you into a better person if it's being corrected by the right people.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's really ultimately up to you if you want to take it or not. I mean, there's a lot of people that will give you some bullshit advice, you know what I mean? But, in your heart what you want to do and what's right and wrong. You know, People will open your mind up to new things, for sure. And it's good to hear that kind of stuff, whether you want to take it or not. But yeah, I mean, it's always nice to get, that criticism because, if you don't ever get it, you're going to keep doing the shit wrong. You know what I mean? Like if you don't hear all these other, if you just keep doing the same thing over and over, you don't get any feedback, I mean, there's nothing that's really going to change, So, I think that's another, that is definitely key into, wanting to succeed in something.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing about you and Wade too is, I mean, like, and myself is, like, I'm still sitting on interviews that I did back in October. You
Yeah.
just said that your docu-series, you start putting this together in June of last year?
Yeah, that's when I started. So,
Yeah, I mean, we're going on 6.5 months now. You know what I mean? I mean,
yeah.
but I mean, you sent me all the proofs of the docu series, and I've watched. I think you sent me 10 of them. I'm at like 8 out of 10 of them,
Yeah.
and we're gonna give people a little sneak peek in a little bit. But quality takes time, and I feel as though anytime you rush anything in life, you're never gonna really see a good result. Like good results aren't rushed. You got to work towards them. You got to be patient. You got to let things just take flight one day at a time.
No, I agree with you, man, because, this definitely I wanted to be done with the shit, back in, I thought it was only going to take a few months, but then I thought, at first when I was going to do it, it's only going to be a 45-minute thing, one episode, that's it. But then I was like, damn, I got all these different people that I've interviewed that I can have in the documentary, from the mob, like about 15 mobsters, five retired police officers, and, a number of, quote unquote mob experts and stuff, in this genre. But, I just thought I was like, damn, I can really put a docu series together because for each crime family that I cover, there's 11 episodes, and I have someone that was a part of that life in that family, except for the Lucchese. I couldn't find one for the Lucchese crime family, but for the most part, I got 10 out of the 11 that I talk about. But I just wanted to keep going with it, and bring it more people's perspectives into this, and obviously it's not just a documentary like interviews and stuff. It's like I'm leading the story. I cover the first bosses of the family up until the present, what I mean, and any hits and wars that went on, and how they made their money. I cover all that. But the interviews support what I say, and they give more information and knowledge. And so with that, I was able to make my series, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I like about it, man. You're passionate about it, and that's why I feel like a lot of people, like, you can't be like, if you're gonna come into this relying on it to be a quick turnover for fast cash, it's never going to be quality. And I mean, I could be wrong by saying what I'm saying. This is, once again, it's not because it's coming out of my mouth. It doesn't mean that it's 100% right. That's just the way I feel. And, this is going to be like the new platform for Sober Sit Down is I feel as though that I'm going to start being a little bit more of myself. I'm going to not really hold anything back. I want to keep a more motivational content. Our platform was kind of like a motivational content for a while of remarkable rebound stories, but I want to do more. Like I want to do more generalized topics of discussions, like stuff that you talk about every day when you're running to people, like at the gym or coworkers, stuff like that. Like, like just talking about everyday stuff like sports. I don't really want to get into the two politics thing because that's just a whole nightmare to even get near. Just like stuff like just bringing people on and hey, like what do you think about this whole like this Andrew Tate stuff that's going on? What do you think? Like and just have people I'm gonna have more. You're gonna see on like Sober Sit Down now, like more local people that I know. I'm gonna bring on, let them tell their story, but like yeah, we're still gonna chop it up about everyday stuff that like people are somewhat curious about, like stuff that's on people's mind, but nobody really has the balls to talk about.
No, that'd be good.
And it's like just keeping it raw, real, and uncut, and like that's why I kind of get a little bit salty about like a lot of this podcasting stuff because like I said, I haven't been in this studio since November, and today's January 19th. Obviously, that's going to change from the date that this is released because we're not doing a live right now. But like for those people listening, like I haven't been in the studio in 2 months. Like I literally took a break to just decompress and de-escalate around the holidays, be around family and friends, focus on keeping my mindset on building up my career. It requires a lot of mental attention and being consistent. And if I can't give my all at something, I'm gonna give it a break for a little bit. So like I felt as though that the podcasting was just becoming an obstacle. I wanted to hit the gym a little bit more. It was starting to cut into my gym time. So like I think that like proportion is everything. I think staying consistent, portioning out your time, like like me, you, and Wade. It's work, podcasting, hobbies, social life. Like we could just keep naming them, but when you have that in moderation and you don't overdo it one or the other, you're not going to burn yourself out. And like I was just like I kind of cut myself off because I'm trying to like talk about a couple different topics, but you come into this podcasting being reliant on a quick flip. Like you work. What do you do for a living again, Adrian?
I do accounting work, and then I got another job where I do business administration work. I answer phones, set up appointments, and just enter data and shit like that. So I got 2 different, jobs that I do.
Jesus, you have two jobs and you're doing all this stuff. It's crazy. But yeah, a man of my own kind. I can go on about working multiple jobs the past couple of years, and you know what? Like, if people have that luxury to not work and make this a full-time job, but like, what gets me is, and I was talking to some coworkers about it today, and this is like in general, this isn't just podcasting. It's like in everyday modern society, too many people like. It's like they need validation or something. Like they always are just talking about one thing and then totally contradicting them with the next. It's like, you went out, you work for a living, you provide for your family. You just told me you have 2 jobs, and not that this matters or anything like that, but you got people, that want to do projects like yourself or, want to take a risk on doing something, but nobody wants to, and no pun intended, but nobody wants to invest in themselves. And it's like they're saying one thing, but then over here they're saying another. It's like, I don't do this. I don't do this for money. We don't do ad space. And I've heard, and I'm not just saying this about one person. It's multiple people. I've watched all different random podcasts and it's literally, they're saying, well, I don't do this for money, I don't put ads on my show, but then a second later, but if you want to donate, my cash app's in my description. Like that's like a hooker screwing you, and her saying, I don't want any money for our interaction, but while I'm getting dressed, my purse is in the corner. You could put some money in there if you want.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean, man. I mean, like, for if you really want to get support, you got to build up your brand, you got to build up your fans, your fan base, and everything like that. And as say if you do got a project coming up or something, or you can tell them, hey, like for example, you could say, I'm doing this Patreon, I'm gonna have my documentary series on there. If you guys want to go subscribe to it, $5 a month, check it out. I mean, you could do shit like that. I mean, that makes more sense. But instead of saying, straight up like, no, I don't want money. But I see what you mean. That's kind of weird, but
And that's what I mean. Like I'll run into people at the gym, and they'll be like, "Oh, I like they have to go out of their way, like I'm sober, I'm sober, I'm sober," and these people like may have had like a problem with hard drugs, but then you hear like they're still smoking weed, like, and that's fine, like that's fine if that's what you're doing and that's what you need to do to get by, but at least keep it real with yourself. And if you are still doing other shit, or like I just said about like saying that you're not in this for the money, but then you're like attaching cash apps and stuff underneath your thing, just don't bring it up. Just say straight up. You don't have to throw in all that added stuff that, oh, we're not in this for the money and this and that, and then just say straight out, hey guys, we're having a project, looking for donations, cash apps below. Keep it plain, keep it simple, keep it fucking real. Keep it real. Don't say one thing and then come out with the next. Because like I just can't stand inconsistencies like that. I just think that like people go out of their way too much for self-validations from other people. And it's like somebody saying, like you said, like, or like I was just saying, them saying, oh well, I'm sober, but then you hear they're smoking pot. Just just let it alone. Don't go out of your way to say you're sober if you're still smoking weed. Just let it alone. Just be real with yourself and just leave it alone.
yeah, no, I see what you mean, bro. I mean, yeah, I mean, you just got to kind of keep it real, I suppose. I mean, if you want to do something, then you do it. I mean, just if you're going to do something, do it all the way. I mean, that's if you're going to say that's what you're doing, then yeah, do it all the way. I mean, don't bullshit it. I mean, that's what I do every day with my show. I work on it every single day. I mean, there's not a time that I don't. What I mean? Even over the holidays and shit. I mean, I just stay consistent, bro. I mean, with the projects, with the documentary and everything. I said I'm gonna do it, so I'm gonna do it. What I mean? And I wanted to get all the editing done before the end of the year. And you know what? I stayed to it, man. I actually got all the editing and all this shit finalized before the end of the year. And now it's just about promoting. You know what I mean? So I said I was going to do it. I get myself to the end of the year after I had to reevaluate that I was going to make the documentary series because, man, I didn't think that much time was going to go into this shit, But yeah, stay consistent, man. I mean, that's key in any of this shit if you want to get it done. I worked
But
every single day getting that shit done.
the only person you relied on is yourself. I mean,
Yeah,
like you might have been working on it one day, and like your kid might have needed something, or your significant other might have needed something. You may have got called into work. You have to put that shit on hold.
yeah,
But like pushing yourself to do multiple tasks like that, like I always set long term and like short term, long term goals.
yeah,
And whole like if you can't within realization, like if I say like, hey, I want to go to the gym tomorrow at 7 a.m. when I have work at 8:30, 9 o'clock. Okay, so if I want to get an hour in at the gym, if I sleep through that damn alarm, hold yourself accountable. Be
yeah,
like, oh, you need to get your ass to sleep earlier the next day. Hold
yeah.
yourself accountable. But like, but if I got a phone call that somebody in my family passed away and I couldn't go to the gym, there is reasonable circumstances why certain goals can't get met.
That's different. Yeah, that's totally different, bro. You never know what's gonna happen. But as long as you don't use it as an excuse to just say I'm not doing the shit for I'm done. I'm gonna take a big break or whatever. You know what I mean? You just got to get back on it, man. Because if you don't, then you're gonna fall short. You know what I mean? It's gonna slip you by, and you might just say fuck it all. And you might have put on all this work, wasted all this time just to say fuck it. I that's not what I do. You know what I mean? I like to stay keep going and going and going, man. I mean, even when I'm pissed off or sad, depressed, I mean, this shit zones me in, especially with the documentary, man, because it helps me with anxiety and all that shit. It takes my mind off of everything else that's going on. I'm just, focused right into that, the editing, me recording, I mean, making music, for the documentary or whatever the fuck it was, dude. It really helped out. And, now I feel like I'm slacking because I'm not constantly editing and doing shit, but because I was putting in so much with the documentary, so now I got to fill that void again. So I don't know, man. It really helped out, and you know, I don't know. I'm glad that I got to say that I did that. And moving forward, I might eventually I'll probably keep doing more documentaries. Maybe not as long, unless I got a teammate or some shit. But for sure, I'd like to do more projects in the future like that. But this is my first one that I've ever done. So there was a lot of trial and error, and there was a lot of days too where I was not a lot, but I'd say maybe 10% of the time where I was like, man, is this editing ever gonna fucking end? Like, am I ever gonna be done with this? I mean, and then I'd be like, yeah, I'll get back into it. Sometimes you gotta take a break, work on something else, and then boom, you get back into it. But it does get overwhelming sometimes when you're doing it all by yourself, man.
Well, I mean, there's a big difference in when you crush goals like you did, and you know, you didn't take a shortcut. You literally put your mind to something. You went out, you hustled, you worked through your obstacles, and there's that big word. You earned it. You earned what you got. I remember a time not so long ago, and I gotta save some of this stuff for when I'm gonna tell my whole story, but like
Yeah.
it took up until when I first got sober and like trying to keep my nose clean, and you were talking about this stuff all helps with your depression, your anxiety, your stress, your all that. Like it takes time to understand that sometimes certain people's tunnels are longer than the next, and that light is smaller than the guy next to you is, or you might have a little bit more of an obstacle to get somewhere than the next person, but that's your obstacle, that's your road. You have to take the hand that God leads you, and you got to sit there and you got to grind, you got to hustle. Like it was up to a point not so long ago that I was waking up every day at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and putting on work boots and going digging ditches, and then coming home and then going and bartending or serving tables all night long. So like leaving the house at like 4 or 5 in the morning and not coming home till like 11, 12 at night, and just repeatedly doing that 5, 6 days a week. And then when I wasn't doing that, doing door dashing on the side or Grubhub or doing something to do some sort of legal hustle to keep my nose clean, but to still earn enough to get myself financially where I needed to be. And now today, because of that mindset and not giving up on myself and not falling into those traps that some people do when they go through a struggle, like I could have sat there and reverted on all the the hand that God dealt me of being in addiction. And I could have sat there and been like, my life's all jacked up, I got a lot of work ahead of me and stuff like that. I could have fell into that trap of the self-pity, the jealousy and the envious of others, and feeling sorry for myself. But at the end of the day, it's like that movie The Bronx Tale, like Chaz Palminteri says, like, nobody cares. Nobody's gonna help you but you. You gotta sit there. Nobody's gonna feel sorry for you. Nobody's gonna hold your hand. If you want stuff out of life, sure, there is some people out there that catch that break. There is some people that get that little shortcut, and but sometimes it comes with a price. Sometimes it doesn't. However, God bless them, and glad they got lucky in life. But most people that I know that went out and got it, worked hard, and earned it, it's a different type of feeling than when something's given to you.
Yeah, no, I mean it is. I mean, think about buying your own car, versus your parents buying you one or some shit. Like you're gonna want to take care of that car. You're gonna want to clean it. You're gonna want to make sure the tire, the oils, and all the shit is changed. You know what I mean? Same with getting your own house and stuff. I mean, it's different. It's a different kind of feeling. Especially say, I mean, even with making videos and shit, man. You make it. You don't. I don't know, buy views and shit. I guess people do. I mean, I don't know, but you earn that. It's a different feeling, and you appreciate it more, and I don't know, you just enjoy it more. It's more satisfying, and you have more hunger for it to keep consistent and keep wanting to do it. versus if you're just buying fake shit, you know what I mean, views or whatever people do, you know, then you're just gonna be like, oh, you know, eventually you're gonna say screw it because no one is actually watching and you know it, you know.
I I just can't believe some of these people out there that like actually have like these platforms, stuff like that, and their main topic and their main platform is just to gain gain credibility and become relevant of just putting other people down that were somebody at one time or another. Like this is what it's all about in my eyes is staying in your own lane, working hard, like you said, branding yourself, make your like I want like like just like you want like when somebody sees that neon behind you and they see the image of your logo,
Mhm.
they don't even have to like it's just like when you're driving past McDonald's, when you see those golden arches, you don't have to read the white lettering that says McDonald's. You know that's McDonald's.
Right.
So that's branding yourself that people don't understand. Like, and if you don't have an original brand other than putting other people down or
Yeah.
disrespecting other people or talking shit, causing drama, being in my eyes, just being a piece of shit, you have no talent. You're just some you know person trying to be relevant.
I
And
mean, oh, go ahead.
no, that's it.
I was gonna say, I mean, anybody could talk shit, man. I mean, but it takes a lot to, go through and actually interview a person, do research. Anybody can make up a bunch of shit, and just talk shit for hours and hours and hours. You know what I mean? Anybody can do that, bro. But if you're actually doing research, doing interviews, that's what matters. That's what's more important. And it ain't got to be interviews, bro. It's just like making, good videos, good content for people to learn, gaining education from, and that's how I want to take my channel as well, man. I want to go more into the business side of shit, out of the drama and everything else that comes, kind of with this whole mafia genre, man. There's a lot of drama in it, so
And all the shit I'm saying right now is like, if I was talking about anybody in particular, I would just say it right now. I mean, you know me by now, man. I just call it like I see it. And that's me being a little bit more real. Like, I'm just going to say it how it is. And you know what? Like, the people that couldn't if somebody listens to this or some people listen to this podcast stuff, like if it don't apply, let it fly. Like if I like these people that that we're talking about that like it's just I don't know. To me, it's like I would start questioning myself if I conducted the sober sit down like that. I would just and these people they mask it by saying, well, it's entertainment. It's entertainment. It's not entertainment. Like look at I mean, some of these people they have massive amounts of subscribers. They have lots of view time or hours of watch time and all that other nonsense. But you know what? Like I don't even really, to be honest with you, like because I don't rely on this platform, I don't pay attention to any of that shit. Like I mean, I don't care about my numbers. I don't care about nothing. I just enjoy coming on, chopping up. This is like you said, de-escalation for me. This is
mhm.
me getting to meet people that have similar interests that I do, and trying to be the best version of me that I can be. And that's exactly what you do as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun, it's enjoyable, and it's just something that you can really, I don't know. You can make a part of your life, man. It can be a release, an outlet. I mean, it can be a full time job. I mean, I mean, if you really work at it and you make a bunch of videos and good shit, and gain your subscribers and your views. I mean, yeah, you can. But that definitely takes a lot of work and stuff. And even besides that, it can lead into bigger projects and stuff that you can get involved with, and where you can make some real money. You know what I mean? So that's definitely a goal with YouTube. You can use it to promote yourself, brand yourself, just like TikTok. You can brand yourself on there. You don't really make a bunch of money and shit, but you know, really build up your image.
Yeah, I mean it's just like with all that nonsense that goes on and stuff like that. It's like you start getting infatuated with other people and talking down about other people, and like that's the main core foundation of your podcast and your platform. And it's like like don't these people go to bed at night and like look up at the ceiling and say like, man, like all I did was talk about another human being the whole time on my podcast. Like where's my life at? Like, what type of company am I surrounding myself with other than a bunch of other hateful gremlins that's my audience, that people that hate on other people because they're successful and these people aren't. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like it's like you're never going to reach ultimate success by hating on other people. Like that's enviness. When you're envious of somebody, that's a sign of jealousy, and that's all just bad karma in my eyes. And some people just have a hard time understanding me personally. I don't like being surrounded by negativity. It took me a long time to actually learn how to identify it, and I realized that you are the energy that you're surrounded by. So if you have a bunch of negative people around you that are constantly, whether they're, bashing other people, they're looking for problems, they're looking for trouble, that energy is going to surround you. Some of my biggest mistakes I made when I was in my 20s was because of the company I kept around me.
Yeah, no, that's true, bro. That's damn true. I mean, you really get a lot of influence and, like you said, energy with the people that you have around you. And, at a point in your life, you got to realize, hey, I don't want to be around this shit anymore. You grow up, you mature, and coming into the YouTube genre, I mean, I wanted to meet everybody I could, but now there's certain people, yeah, I definitely don't want to go be around them, talk to them and shit, because for that reason, it's just negativity, drama. It's going to bring you down. And with my documentary that I made, I really enjoy that. I got to cover the history. I mean, a lot of people want to bash each other back and forth. This guy, they say, oh, this guy's a rat. This guy was, informant. This guy lies about everything. It's like, okay, well, with my documentary, I cover, the history of it, the history of the crime family itself. You know what I mean? I did a lot of research and I put in a lot of time with that as well. And, that's what I wanted to cover, because I guess I didn't really surround myself with a lot of people during that because I did the process myself. I mean, the only process I had with people was interviewing them. And I interviewed, like I said, probably 25 people. And I had a lot of good interactions with them, a lot of good. What I even did, I put them out as a podcast as well. I got 2 for 1, or is that how you say? Yeah, 2 for 1. Yeah. I mean, because I did the interview, and I cut out clips of that interview. I mean, I put them in the documentary, to cover stuff in the documentary. And then I put it as an interview as well for my podcast for people to watch. And I'm glad I did, because a lot of the interviews I weren't going to post got a lot of views, man. And it was insane, and I got a lot of subscribers from it. It helped me build up the channel. So now when they come and watch the, documentary, they'll know, oh shit, I watched that guy's interview. I know who he is and shit, but, I don't know.
I've seen, not to cut you off, but like, you talk about like that's mind blowing. Like that you were just talking, like, like you had 25 guests that were participants in, this docuseries. And it's like, do you think if you were giving off bad vibes or a bad image, do you think those opportunities would have been given to you?
No.
I mean, most of these people that you reach out to and you network with are all branched off of one type or another. Somebody vouching for you to say, hey, that guy's classy, or hey, that guy, he's not a bad guy, like he does, and once you, I just can't stand people that they don't get the opportunities they want and they won't hold themselves accountable. Like it's everybody else. It's never them. It's always everybody else. Like, oh, it's your fault that I didn't do this. Or no, look at yourself in the mirror. Obviously it's not everybody else if you're not getting opportunities.
Yeah.
I mean if it's continuous.
Yeah, no, and that's what I was going to say. I mean, a majority of these guys, I mean, some of them don't like each other and some of them, do like each other that I have interviewed and stuff, but either way, they didn't hold it against me because I don't get in the drama, and, I don't bash nobody. I don't talk shit, so I get more opportunities. And I think people hate that, because I get to do all these interviews with all these different people and, they can't, what I mean? Because, they talk shit, this guy ignores you for a few months. And then, you want to start bashing him. I mean, that's you, bro. He ain't going to go on your show now. I'll be the one to wait a few months. I ain't tripping, man. There's so many other people to interview.
Why like these guys, like they're out there, like 1 minute they're posting videos, they want to kill each other. The next minute they want to be best friends. Like these guys that do this stuff, they miss their calling. Like they should have been in Mob Wives. They should have been in Hip Hop Wives. They should have, like, they should have been like, that's like, and not to sound like toxic masculinity or like sexist or anything, but like that's like hormonal feminine shit.
Just
like you just like be a fucking man. Hold yourself accountable. Like, man the fuck up.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, bro. I don't even watch it, but on YouTube, I'll get their thumbnail, I'll get their thumbnails and their titles, and I just like, again, just keep going. You know what I mean? Because I ain't gonna sit there and watch that. You know what I mean? It's just like there's too much. That ain't me, bro. That's not what I'm about. So I ain't gonna gravitate to it. I ain't gonna watch it. You know what I mean? Why would I? I mean, there's no reason for me to. I'm in my own lane, like you say.
We're just trying to brand ourselves. I mean, and you know what? Like I said, man, like when you don't become reliant on your branding and like you have the time and you build that foundation at a slow, like they always say that old phrase, Rome wasn't built in a night, but
No.
Rome's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
And it's like you know, like I'm gonna give a little sneak peek right now because but it's nothing that anybody that's watching right now has any sort of um, don't even look forward to it anytime soon because it's something that's gonna take a long time. But what's something I used to do to occupy my time when I used to be out on the road was I grabbed a notebook and I mean I would say like one of my hobbies that I have is I could be a little bit creative. I have a pretty good imagination and stuff like that. And that's not me toot my own horn. It's just that's the way I feel. Um, I started the one day just like blueprint and then blueprint and turn into just starting to write and I would sit in the back of these trucks sometimes when I was out on the road for a while, and I'd be, sitting at these warehouses waiting to get a truck unloaded and stuff like that. And sometimes you'd be sitting there for 8, 9 hours in the middle of the day. I mean, you don't want to sleep, and it's like, you just get bored, and there's only so much TV you can watch, and there's only so much, you can take a nap and stuff. And I started writing these ideas down and stuff like that, and then I kind of like started wheels of motion. And I have a positive mentor in my life. We work together, and he's like the older brother I never had, and he's a really good friend of mine. He's very loyal. He give me the shirt, give the shirt off your back type of guy. We go to the gym together. We're like best friends. We've known each other for a long time, but just recently we became pretty close. And I was telling him about it today, and because we talk about all these different projects we have, and you know, I actually think that within the next 2 years, I'd like to slowly transition it into something. Is I started writing like a TV series,
That'd
and
be
I'm not
good.
gonna I'm not gonna go into detail like what it's about, but it's got like kind of like it's got like kind of like a modern day version, crime family twist with modern day society, and it's like just gonna be like I don't know. I mean, it could be nothing, but I'm gonna clean it up over the course of like on top of all the other hobbies I got and the other things that I got working. I'm just gonna slowly start cleaning it up little by little, and if it turns into something, it does. If not, I've always wanted to get into acting and stuff like that. And I think, what better way to do it than maybe, put together my own little project. And
Hmm.
it may take 2 or 3 years to launch off, but if I want it to be good or if I want it to be anything, I mean, it could just be something that I'm talking about right now, but it's not, it's not something I'm relying on. So in sobriety, I learned, you know, um, low expectation, high acceptance. So, you work hard towards something and something good comes with it, truly embrace it and accept it. But don't have such high expectations that the next, like, we do our podcasting, like, we didn't come into this with a high expectation that if we did 3 or 4 episodes that we were going to hit the fucking lottery.
No, not at all, man. And I know what you mean because that's kind of the best mindset to have. I mean, to some kind of extent, you got to have because once you have low expectations, I mean, you won't have to worry about being disappointed. You know what I mean? But you got to also not always be negative as well. You got to kind of maintain some kind of balance to where you got to be like a little optimistic about. You got to make it about certain shit. If you know that you're putting out good work, you're going to be more optimistic about it and feel more in control of how the result's going to come out. You know what I mean? You know in your heart, you know what I mean, like that what it's going to be. But shit that's out of your control, no, you shouldn't. I don't think you should. Have high expectations. Especially if it's someone that's shady or some shit. Just kind of if they offer you something. I mean, even if it's a business deal, you never know. Shit might go flat. So you don't want to get all excited and stuff. But at the same time, you got to celebrate it a little bit because you get say someone wants to do a business deal with you, some some big time promoter, hey, I want to promote your your series that you're doing, the show, like, oh, that's great, I mean, that's so you can do it to that extent, but never know, shit falls through sometime, and you don't want to, let it hit you too hard to where you want to stop and not try again. You know what I mean? You got to have some kind of balance in the shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's why, like, with the sober sit down, like, you know, I can't make it clear enough to everybody, but it's kind of hard based upon the way I named it. Um, like I said, I want to make it now that new year. Trying to make the show a little bit better. Get more into generalized topics of discussion. Like I have a couple guys that back when I was younger, I was trying to be a semi pro, get into like hockey, and I caught it late, but I was good locally, but I definitely wasn't you know the best I could be to get to that level. But I knew some guys that actually were like in the NHL and they played some minor league hockey and stuff like that. So like I'm gonna bring some guys on that played hockey. I'm gonna bring on some people that are just local guys like me and you. We're just gonna chop it up and talk about just stuff about once again like everyday conversations, stuff that's on people's mind but isn't discussed enough. It doesn't have to be all about remarkable rebound or recovery stories. You just gotta talk about anything and everything, and as long as your audience is engaged, I mean, you just put on a good show. I mean, you talk about real shit and just keep it moving. I mean, what outside your docu series, are you just gonna keep going with what you're going with, or like, do you have any certain twist you're trying to take your channel to, like now that it's 2023?
Yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have the docu series come out. I'm gonna keep doing mafia interviews to an extent. I don't know. I still like the mafia content. I think, I gained a lot of experience through this documentary, really covering the history. So maybe I might start like a separate podcast, but keep it under the same channel and just have little 5 second, or not 5 second, 5 minute, lower than 5 minute, like a little documentary on on a guy that used to be, or that guy that was in the life that may be dead now or whatever, and just talk about how they made their money, what kind of business strategies and shit they used or something. I just got to kind of do more research into it. I think I might kind of go into that, just to, I interviewed a lot of the guys, already, in life. So there's not many more I can do. So now I can kind of cover the history. And, I dropped a interview, or me and my buddy Colby, we did a segment, that one we recorded that shit back in, July when I was first interviewing people. And, I decided to drop it, last week because I just been dropping shit once a week. And, it did pretty good. I don't know. It kind of inspired me because me and him were just talking about the downfall of the mafia, and we just did a little 25-minute segment. We talked about different guys that are, no longer around. I don't think for the most part, and you know, I think for that the true crime aspect, I'll still cover that, but on my podcast, the Invest in Yourself podcast, because I might call the Mafia one, Mafia History podcast, and then the Invest in Yourself podcast. It'll be more business. And I think that's what I'm trying to lead into, entrepreneurs, business people that have made it from the struggle and came up, and just some motivational inspirational kind of stuff, authors and shit like that, author of business books and different shit like that, because I want to put some more good stuff out there that I feel in my heart that I like and enjoy. That's what I want to get into and transition, and pivot, kind of like you're doing.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I mean, like even like you take the everyday business guy, somebody that's got a successful business right now, but nobody knows the back end story of it. They just see success. So like you take somebody who was a businessman, lost everything, then rebuilt himself up from scratch, and now is more successful than the first time around. That's a story I want to hear.
I
That's
got a guy. I got a guy lined up for it, and he had mafia ties as well. So I'm reading this book right now. So he's going to be the first guy that I do that actually has a story like that.
Yeah, and that all kind of like formulates around like, that's why like when I first came out, like the sober sit down, like, my brother still goes out in the nightlife locally and stuff like that, and I was kind of well known around the area, and people were starting to see the podcast, stuff like that, and they're like, my brother's name's Brandon, and they're like, yo, Brandon, like, we see Scott doing his podcast, the sober sit down. Oh, he's doing his interviewing mobsters. Like, what's up with that? And then, like, of course, me, like, I had to be like, all right, well, maybe I should, change it up a little bit. But you know what? Like, why should I need self validation? Like, I'm gonna have on who I want to have on. It's gonna be about rebound stories and everyday success stories. Like, like me and Gene's interview I just put out, me and Gene Barillo. It was, negatives to positives. Yeah, of course there was some incorporated of him coming up, but it was more or less just me and him chopping it up about everyday stuff. Like, what do you do for stress relief? Like, I go to the gym, he goes to the gym. Like, what do you like? How do you get through the day when people are pissing you off? Like, like just all random stuff that just people talk about. That's what sober sit down. Like, I'm gonna bring guests on. We're gonna chop it up about a little bit of history of where their background is, and then you just talk about anything and everything. And like, I mean, I can be honest with you. I've never watched, and it's not that I don't like the guy. It's not that I have anything bad to say about him. I've never watched a Joe Rogan episode, and I heard he's got. I mean, statistically, he's got one of the hottest podcasts in the world.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I did see a short clip on Instagram that catches a lot of attention. It's like, that guy will talk. From what it looks like, he talks about anything. Like, I keep seeing this one about. He had a guy on. The short keeps popping up on my live feed for some reason. Somebody keeps like sharing it, and it's about like stem cells.
Yeah.
Like, who would ever have, like, what I mean? But people are engaged. Like, they like, well, I got to hear about that. What is it? Like, what are stem cells? What do stem cells do medically? Like, that's like my buddy that I was telling you about, who's like an older brother to me. He was like the I don't know his exact title. It was like VP of Regional Sales for GNC on the Upper East Coast. And, I want, like, me and him go to the gym together. He knows, he has a lot of knowledge with that stuff. Like, I'm going to bring him on and this other previous guest I had, and we're going to talk about, New Year, some alternative things you can do that people don't realize. Like, I just had some health issues going on back in the fall, and they were going on for quite some time, and I didn't realize that, like, I just changed my diet up in the month of December, and I started doing stuff like more greens and like making more of an alkaline diet. And just talking about that, like, in 30 days, I feel like incredible. Like, I started juicing in the morning, and not juicing like steroids, like like actual juicing. Like, I'll like in the morning, like, I'll drink like lemon water, and then I'll have like a glass of celery juice. Like, and you can get all jacked up all you want at the gym and look good externally, but if your internal health ain't good, you ain't gonna get nowhere with it. So, like, that's something that I think people would be interested on hearing about. Different ways of like training, different ways of healthy options. To make yourself a more healthier person. Different topics like that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, man. I think that's a good direction to take it too, because a lot of different ways to, have a sober lifestyle, you know what I mean? Because everyone has their own different paths and stuff. So, for me, I guess, for my sober stuff, I don't know. I mean, I stay away from the bullshit. I guess I don't get in trouble or nothing like that, as a kid, fucking around doing stupid stuff. But, now I just spend time with family, you know what I mean? And work on my videos, my show, my clothing brand, and that's it.
That's what I learned. Some people, in sobriety the past 4 years, you learn people, and like, they sit there and they're talking and they're like, I'm sober. Yeah, you might not be drinking. Yeah, you might not be using drugs, but like, you're still living like a piece of shit. Like, you're lying to people, you're cheating through life, you're causing havoc everywhere you go. You want to, like, amp people up or, talk down about people. And like, that's not living sober.
Yeah.
Like, living sober is, finding your own true happiness and your own serenity. It doesn't matter if, like, you can have a guy, that, I mean, this is all based on my opinion. I want to make that clear because there's a lot of people out there, and I'm not really like one of those people that followed the AA guidelines or anything like that. I went to a couple meetings in the beginning of my sobriety stage, but like it was more or less grabbing some tools to build my house. I respect people that live that life, but I don't abide by all the rules. And what I mean by that is like my views are a little different than the next person. And at the end of the day, it's what works for you. It's not, you don't have to follow anybody else's guidelines but your own. No. But in my opinion, being sober doesn't necessarily have to mean that, like, Adrian, like, you know, like right now, me and you are talking, okay? You know, I've known you for almost a year now. You know, you never came off to me as a liar. You're a hard worker. You know, you do your thing. You're a family guy, you know, yada, yada, yada. But I don't know, and we don't talk about this, but I don't know if you have any addiction problems. I don't know. But, I mean, if you had a beer or two on the weekend, I would consider you a sober person, not because of the addiction aspect of it, because you genuinely live like a sober person. Yeah. You're not an asshole. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I feel it, man. Yeah, no, I'm a weekend drinker, but you know, not nothing heavy. You know, I have I know my limits. You know what I mean? But that's about it. I mean, I don't go crazy like I used to.
and that's just it. Like people don't understand. Like you can't, like if you're in sobriety, you can't go around judging people that can control themselves. Like, you know, if I go to a barbecue and I see somebody that has 2 beers that's having with their dinner, or somebody that can drink 6 to 8 drinks and, you know, be functionable and not get out of hand, and, you know, the next day wake up and go to work and it doesn't conflict with their life.
Right.
I can't judge somebody that does that because that's not being sober. You know, I can't be envious of somebody because they don't have a problem with self-control with a substance.
Right.
You know, so that's what I believe. Like all that works into the factor of living a sober lifestyle. Not, you know, just not. The main thing is that I look at is doing things for others without having your hand out, expecting something back in return.
Right. Yeah. No, that's true, man. You know, so
there's so many people, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but there's so many people out there that act like they're doing people favors, and they're like, oh, yeah, I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this for you. Yeah, but you're doing it with a hidden agenda or a hidden motive that you're expecting some sort of repayment down the line.
Yeah, there's a lot of that shit going on. You know, so for me, I did that whole documentary myself. So all I got to do is thank myself and the people that promoted with me and the guys that came on. But shit, I'm the one that did all the interviews, did all the editing, all the promotion is what I'm trying to do. So, you know, I don't have to worry about that hidden agenda bullshit, you know, but, you know, so I don't know. I appreciate you having me on, bro. I really do. I mean, it means a lot to me, man.
Yeah. I mean, I think we set a good precedence to what people can look forward to and be in store to for me and your channel moving forward for the new year. You know, that's our goals. You know what I mean? Hopefully we stick to our goals and we could accomplish what we're setting out to accomplish. You know, just keep moving forward one day at a time, you know?
Yeah, no, you too, bro. And, you know, if you guys want to check out my documentary or my YouTube, my podcast, my channel, I'll send the links over to Scott. You know, they'll be in the video description, as well as my clothing brand. You know, my show is called Invest in Yourself Podcast, and my clothing brand is called Invest in Yourself Clothing. So thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it.
And we're going to leave you with one of my favorite ones you did. I'm gonna end it with a short clip preview of the Greg Scarpa one you did.
Oh yeah.
As you know, I'm really good friends with Larry Mazza, and me and Larry are
like that.
me and Larry are actually, we were talking over the holidays, and we're probably going to get something going after football season. He's a little bit busy right now with, you know, the sports going on and stuff like that, but we're going to try and link up like once a month or something after Super Bowl and get the Life 101 fired up again. Just, you know, do our little side project, even if it's once a month, you know. Yeah. It's all for fun, man. It's not a job for either one of us. It's not even sober sit down. Like, you know, like I said, I haven't been in the studio in almost 2 months. It's all the stuff that I'm putting out now is just pre-recordings from the fall, and it's nice to get back in the groove. And I got some stuff planned up. So yeah, let's I'll stay in touch with you, Adrian, and thanks for coming on tonight. And guys, thank you for coming on Sober Sit Down, and make sure you check out Invest in Yourself podcast, and also, like I always say, if you like the content you see, hit subscribe. It takes 1 second, and we're gonna end you with this short clip. Thank you all, and have a good night.
The Colombo crime family was also known for having strong hitmen in their family. The Colombo crime family's top hitman was Greg Scarpa. He was nicknamed the Grim Reaper, and he was a capo and a hitman for the Colombo crime family. And on top of that, he was an informant for the FBI.
Greg Scarpa had a lengthy relationship with the FBI, and Greg Scarpa was also the guy who recruited people like Larry Mazza into the family.
The way I got in was in college. I was a hardworking kid. I had 2 or 3 jobs. One of the jobs was working in a supermarket. And at that supermarket, I met this older woman. Again, at the time, I was 17, going on 18. She was in the 30 area, a little above. Wound up having a relationship, got very close. So close, she was married, had kids. Still, we kept it going. Eventually, she wants me to meet her husband. And she says he could do a lot of things for me. We're opening up this big company. We can make you the sales manager. You can represent the whole East Coast. This is incredible. So ultimately I meet him, and it turns out he's a top guy in the Colombo family.